Lord Barr, what I'm going to say to you, I wouldn't have much to disagree with what Mr. Lowe has had to say. It's been an interesting set of submissions on the standards and the requirements of the prosecutor. Mr. Lowe is only a recent incumbent to this matter, but where in any of his submissions does he tell your Lordship how any of this that he has had to say to your Lordship applies in this case? Not one submission. Just simply says that they don't have the DECWA docket. I don't believe that, my Lord. It's false. I'm not saying Mr. Lowe is misrepresenting the truth. It's just that the state and the investigation in this case had access to that docket. There can be no doubt about that.
What Mr. Lowe is saying is that it's in another unit of the NPA.
My Lord,
that's why I'm saying to you, is he not representing the state?
My Lord, the original might be there. Where have they told your Lordship where their copy? Do they want? Does this directorate want your Lordship? If they want your Lordship to believe that they've never had sight of that document, on what basis must your Lordship accept that? Because it's not on the papers before your Lordship. They cannot advance that argument. And that's why they keep dealing with when they answer our correspondence. We read a little bit here, a little bit there in a letter. One would have expected in the passage of time, which has been lost on account of the state's conduct, to have had an application for leave to file further affidavits. You don't have that. My Lord, the 3 Canadian cases referred to have no application here on my learned friend's submissions. In Eddie's case, that's about interrogatories that as we listen to submissions, because we weren't forewarned of these cases. But as I listened to his submissions, it was all about interrogatories being made of the state. Your Lordship asked, well, is there a South African authority? Well, there will be, because our court wouldn't accept a witness speculating. We've laid out a factual basis in our founding affidavit for why we want the disclosure of all 3 sections, of which we already have 2, and of which they initially never gave us everything in the first one, and then they refused to give us the second one. And on that score, my Lord, we're not asking, and this was raised by Mr. Lowe in relation to Rex versus Eddie, we're not asking for information interrogatories to build a timeline. We just referred to a timeline as a description of what one finds in the C-clip and how it should look. And it should be a perfect document, as Mr. Phillips said. We're not looking to construct a timeline. But then Mr. Lowe did say that, well, if they go and the documents they now have in B, they just go and construct that, they'll have their timeline. Well, we didn't ask for a timeline. But thank you for the concession to just give us the C section. Why must we go and guess in a matter where we've questioned almost every procedural step they've taken with evidence, as Mr. Kerr Phillips argued? My Lord, in relation to Rex versus H and C, well, there it dealt with vagueness, as I listened to my learned friend's submissions. They haven't accused us in their answering affidavit of being vague. They never could. Your Lordship seen that founding affidavit of ours. They don't accuse of vagueness. They say we're nitpicking. In other words, their actual contention in their answering affidavit is to say, well, these chaps are looking for documents, they're nitpicking. We specify what we've got, and out of that what we take issue with and what we believe we should have. In relation to Rex versus Penny and relevance, and yes, relevance, of course, that's how do you test relevance? You must test the usefulness of that document to the accused. How do we do that in the circumstances? We've already raised a case as to relevance. Mr. Kerr Phillips dealt with that. Hearsay and all these other matters. Well, my learned friend explained to your Lordship that, well, they don't use section 205. They use section 28. Well, that was news to us because we haven't seen anything in A and B in relation to the recordings that would be the result of section 28, the audio recordings. So that's all going to be in the C clip. So, but Lord, we shook the tree a bit today, and that's what we got.
What is it, Mr. Lou?
Lord, sorry, I forgot to place on record, Bjorn,